Welcome back. Well, just got this gearbox out again and finally getting around to doing the final chain drive. I had to modify the bell housing quite a bit, so I've cut this section out to make room for the chain to go through, and I'm going to make a plate to bolt the tensioner to. So this is the main drive sprocket with the spline in it, so that just fits on. And in the last video I showed you the tensioner that I modified from a Commodore, so I just went from a belt and change it to a sprocket. I need it to fit in there somewhere, so yep, just going to make a plate, try to fit it in there nice and neatly at the right height. So I want it to obviously provide tension, but I don't want the bottom chain to hit on top of the top chain. So there it is there, just got a 5mm mild steel plate there, trying to figure out how to mount this so it's going to clear everything. Yeah, so I just started out grinding this plate up, did a couple of trial fits. So this is the first step, just getting it to fit in the gearbox itself, and at this point it actually looked okay. Also made this 10mm aluminium plate as a bit of a cover, and the idea of that is a bit of bracing as well as to hold a bearing housing, which that hole there is for the other end of the drive shaft. So bearing holds that just to make sure I don't bend the shaft and put too much load on the actual gearbox, inner gearbox bearing. So just grinding out this plate, getting it to fit again. I finished that off, gave it a quick bit of spray paint, and it was then ready to do its final fit. So here it is here, just bolting it in. So as I said before, bolt straight into the gearbox. I didn't drill any new holes in the gearbox itself, but I have obviously drilled and tapped some holes for the tensioner to bolt to that plate. So once it's all in, hopefully I can line the sprockets up, and the heights are also right. Has been a fair bit of messing about to get this right, so just doing the bolts up here. There's the tensioner. There's a lot of tension on this thing, and I haven't seen this done before, but I'm using a 530 O-ring chain, which is massive really, and it's quite long, so I don't want it to be flapping around. So I'm going to try this. I think it's going to work pretty well, but time will tell. I just figure a normal spring that I've seen a lot of people use, I don't feel strong enough to take the tension out in this sort of setup that I've got. So just bolting it in there, and once I've bolted it, you can sort of see there's a lot of tension, so it's not going to be much of a problem. There's the alignment, looks all good, and it's just time to put the plate on, put the bearing housing on. And that bit of extra shaft sticking out is actually, I did that because I'm thinking of using that as a drive for the mower itself, the cutter, because I do want this to cut the lawn. So there's a 530 chain, just putting it in. It was with that tension, it wasn't easy to get this together. So I've you can't see it there, but I've got a bar under my arm there just to tension it up, or to let the stress off, and you can see the tension. Turned out really good actually. There's about, at full extension, the bottom chain still misses the top one by about ½ inch, which is good. So just going to start it up now, put it in gear for the first time. I've just got the end jacked up, I haven't put the wheels on yet, just to see, is it going to turn, what's it going to sound like, and is the tensioner actually going to work. So I just fired it up here, it sounds pretty good. I haven't done the exhaust, it's still pretty much open exhaust. There you go, that's first gear. First gear at idle, and the gearbox is also in first gear. So I do have 5 gears on this gearbox. You can see here, see the chain tension is sort of just bobbing up and down a little bit. It looks like it's actually, I'm really happy with that. I think it's going to work perfectly. Looks like the gearing's actually pretty good as well. So in first gear, and on the motorbike in first gear on the gearbox is a nice low RPM, you can see on the final drive there down the bottom. And I did clock it up to 5th gear, and it looks like it's pretty good. So I need to do a bit more work there. So here's a close up of the tensioner. Perfect, just bobbing up, misses everything, fits beautifully, really happy with that. So next stage is I'm going to put the rear wheels on, and then I should get to the bit where it's actually going to look like I'm making progress with the bodywork. So stay tuned.